feel like this needs to be said, and I don't see anybody else saying this anywhere else, and so I guess I'll be the one to say it. Investing in real estate for cash flow is dumb. If your goal is to be a part of the FIRE movement and retire early, or you want to replace your 9-to-5 job, really real estate investing is not the best route to go to replace your income and cover your expenses as quickly as possible. Now, before you tune me out or turn me off or crucify me in the comments, do me 2 quick favors. Number 1, just hear me out for a couple minutes because I have an interesting point I think to make, and I would love to hear what your thoughts on it are down in the comments. And number 2, if you find this intriguing, maybe share this video with a couple of your real estate investor friends because I'd love to hear what they have to say about it too. And if you're one of those real estate investor friends, let us know down in the comments. Let's have a conversation about it. Now, before I get too deep into bashing real estate for cash flow, I want to talk about what I do think real estate is great for. Now, I can think of 3 things off the top of my head. There's probably more than this, and maybe you guys can share in the comments more things. But number 1, I think real estate investing is great for building equity and therefore your net worth. I think real estate does a really great job at that, and there's a lot of different levers to pull that help you do that. Number 2 is tax advantages. I think real estate has some great tax advantages, another good reason to invest in real estate. And number 3, real estate can be a great source of creating lump sums quickly. So whether that's fixing and flipping, or maybe using the BRRRR method and refinancing your property and pulling money out to redeploy it elsewhere. I think real estate does a great job at those things. And like I said, there's probably some other things that real estate does a great job at, but cash flow is not one of them. In fact, I think real estate is basically just an insurance policy that you take out on your property in case of something like the 2008 crash happens and your value drops. You can maintain some positive cash flow, pay all your expenses, and wait out the dip until values rise back up to their normal values and you recoup your equity. And cash flow only really comes into play in real estate when you scale up big. It's kind of a slow method of accumulating cash flow. So let me tell you a quick story. When I first learned about real estate investing and positive cash flow, I got super excited about it. I was listening to all these podcasts and getting super excited about cash flowing real estate. And I started doing the mental math as I've been hearing more and more about this. This was kind of after 2008, but before 2020. And, people were getting $100, $200 positive cash flow a door on these average deals. And I got really excited until I really started to think about it and was like, man, how many properties do I have to buy to replace my income from rental properties? This is going to take me forever. That's so many properties to buy and to manage and all those things. And I got kind of discouraged, to be honest with you. Maybe you've had similar thoughts, maybe not. Maybe you're on that path and you're gung-ho. Go for it. I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm just saying it's the slow way to go about it, investing in real estate for cash flow. So the question then becomes, what's a better route to go than real estate investing for cash flow? Well, I'm going to make the case to you in just a second that small businesses in general, and specifically, of course, I'm Jordan from Laundromat Resource, that laundromats are a far better way of accumulating cash flow if your goal is to retire early, or your goal is to leave your 9-to-5 job, or even if your goal is to maximize your cash flow returns. I think laundromat is a far better investment than real estate. Now, you may be wondering, why is that? Why would a laundromat be a better cash flowing investment than real estate? And it all comes down to the way that laundromats or small businesses are valued versus the way that real estate is valued. Let's jump over to the whiteboard real quick and let me show you an example of what I mean. Okay, so if the cash flow potential of real estate and laundromats is rooted in how they're valued, let's talk real quickly about how each one of them are valued. Real estate, we need to break into 2 different categories. Number 1 is residential real estate. And residential real estate's typically valued based on comparable sales, what everything around it is valued that's similar, and it really has no correlation to the income potential of that property. Commercial real estate, on the other hand, is based on what's called a capitalization rate that's applied to the net income of that property. Now, I don't want to get too deep into the woods of how commercial real estate is valued, but as a quick explainer, capitalization rate or cap rate is the amount of net income you could expect if you bought a commercial property with all cash. So for example, just a quick, simple, easy one, if you find a commercial real estate property for $100,000 and the capitalization rate is 8%, then you could expect $8,000 of annual net net income from that property. Laundromats are valued similarly to commercial real estate, except for instead of using a capitalization rate, we use a multiple. And it's basically just the inverse of the cap rate. So in our example, we have $8,000 of net income for a commercial property. If you divide that by 0.08 or 8%, our cap rate, you're gonna get $100,000. For a laundromat, however, instead of dividing by 0.8%, in this example, we would multiply it by 12.5, and that would give us $100,000. So that's just the inverse of 0.08. And the way you could get there if your mind works in capitalization rate is just 1 divided by the capitalization rate. So 1 divided by 0.08 is 12.5. So if you multiply $8,000 times 12.5, you're gonna get your $100,000. Now, I just said that as a little bit of background. If you're not tracking with me, no worries, don't worry. We're gonna do an example right now. All right, let's say that you have $100,000 to invest in either real estate or laundromats, and you're looking for cash flow. What should you do with that $100,000? Great question. Let's let the numbers decide. Now, if you wanna buy real estate, you could probably get a loan with 20% down. So with your $100,000, if you put all that down, you could buy a property worth $500,000. With laundromats, however, typically you're gonna need about 30% down for your first deal. So that means you could buy a laundromat for $333,333.33. So as you can see, you can buy more real estate than you can laundromats for your $100,000. All right, we're gonna use a 6% interest rate for our loans. Now, they're all over the place right now, but as long as they're the same, we can kind of make an apples to apples comparison. So 6% interest rate, you're gonna have a loan on your real estate of $400,000 with your $100,000 down. And on your laundromat, you're gonna have a loan of $233,333.33 with your $100,000 down. So here's what your loan payments are gonna look like for the real estate and for the laundromat. So for real estate, we're gonna have a monthly payment of $24,000 a month, which is $28,800 annually for your loan payment. For your laundromat, you're gonna have a loan payment of $2,590 per month or $31,200 per year. Now, here's where things kind of get interesting. Okay, so let's go back to our real estate deal and say we get a pretty average return on investment, which I would say is about 8% cash on cash return on investment. Now, I'm aware that there's other ways to create value in real estate. For example, tax deductions, building equity, loan pay down, all that stuff. But we're talking about cash flow. We're talking about exiting your 9 to 5, getting financial freedom, talking about cash flow here. So 8% cash flow is a pretty average deal. You should be able to find a real estate deal that has about 8% return on your money. That means based on a valuation of $500,000 and an 8% return on your real estate investment, that means based on a $500,000 investment in a real estate property that has an 8% return, you can expect about $40,000 of net income before your loan payments in the real estate deal. Now, we talked about how laundromats are valued, but I didn't mention the best part yet. And the best part of laundromat valuation is what the multiples are in order to determine the valuation of a laundromat. So I mentioned before that 8% pretty average return on investment for a real estate investment, that's a 12.5 times the net income multiple. The average multiple for a laundromat, however, is not 12.5, it's not 10, it's not 8. In fact, the average multiple is somewhere between 3.5 and 5 times the net income. That means in your average deal, you're getting somewhere between a 20 and 25% return on your money unleveraged without using a loan. However, we are using a loan in this example, so let's talk about what that means. Let's use an average deal, an average multiplier to determine what kind of cash flow we can expect from this particular laundromat. So we won't use like a 3.5 or even a 4. Let's use a 4.5 multiplier, which means we're gonna take our purchase price and divide it by 4.5. That's gonna leave us with a net income that we can reasonably expect from this laundromat at $74,074. So let's round it to $74,000 of net income before our loan payments for the laundromat. Okay, already we're looking pretty good at $40,000 of net income for the real estate investment and $74,000 of net income for the laundromat. However, we still have to apply our loan payments. So once we subtract our $28,800 from our $40,000 of net income, we get a cash flow of $11,200. That's not bad. Leverage, that's an 11.2% return on our $100,000. That's pretty good. However, when we take a look at our cash flow from our laundromat, we can see that once we subtract the $31,200 from our $74,000 of net income, we get a whopping $42,800. That's a 42.8% return on our original $100,000 investment. Now, I don't know about you, but 11.2 sounded really nice there for a second until I learned that leveraged, I could get a 42.8% return on my money for an average laundromat deal. This is not even a home run deal. It's an average deal. This example right here of an average real estate deal and an average laundromat deal is exactly why I say buying real estate for cash flow is just dumb and slow. Buy yourself a laundromat or two, replace your income as quickly as possible, and then start plowing some of this cash flow into the real estate to build up the equity and your net worth in the real estate properties. I'm gonna leave a shot of this up here in case you want to screenshot it and take a look at it a little deeper, and then I'll close this thing out. If you want to take a quick screenshot so you can take a closer look, here you go. Okay, we've run the numbers, we've done the math. Now I'm curious, what do you think? Do you think real estate cash flow is still a better way to go? Or are you interested in considering the laundromats? If your interest has been piqued, number one, let us know down in the comments. Number two, check out the link that's in the description below and in the pinned first comment, and go check out the free course on how to buy your first laundromat. It's 3 lessons long, jam-packed with great information, and let's get started on your laundromat journey. But if you're not quite sold yet on how great laundromats can be for your business, then check out this video right up here because it's gonna give you 10 reasons why laundromats are the best investment you can make.